Turning Point USA's AmericaFest saved their biggest speaker for last this weekend. And while J.D. Vance, the vice president, was the headliner, surprise guest Nicki Minaj may have stolen the show. She sat down with Erica Kirk to give both Vance and President Trump her support.
I have the utmost respect and admiration for our president. He has, I don't know if he even knows this, but he's given so many people hope that there's a chance to beat the bad guys and to win and to do it with your head held high and your integrity intact.
The panel joins me now. Alex Swoyer, the Washington Times editor-at-large, and Michael LaRosa, former chief spokesperson to First Lady Jill Biden and special assistant to President Biden. Guys, thanks so much for joining us this afternoon. Alex, I'll start with you. One of the things that Nicki Minaj had to say in her conversation with Erica Kirk was it's okay to change your mind. She was once very critical of President Trump. What does that say about our politics today?
Yes, you hit on exactly what I was going to bring up. If Nicki Minaj, who is in the past, I think 2016, she's been critical of President Trump and his immigration policies, even using that as a reference in one of her songs, I think it was Black Barbies, talking about being an island girl and Donald Trump wanting her to go home, to now being on stage at Turning Point USA, giving the president and the vice president her endorsement and praising them. I think one of the interesting points in her transformation has maybe been religion. She talked about the importance of being at that event and the fact that there was it brings young people close to God. And she's recently praised the president, I think it was last month, about speaking out about the persecution of Christians in Nigeria. So if someone like her can make this transformation, I think that speaks volumes about the type of voters that also can across the country. We saw it in 2024 with the popular vote, and I think we'll see it again. It could spell trouble for Democrats with the midterms. Historically, the president in power, his party loses ground, but it seems like someone like Nicki Minaj could bring different voting blocks to the Republican Party and expand their tent.
Michael, conservatives have taken this idea that, it's a big tent and you can be free to speak your mind and change your mind, and then they look at Democrats and they say, well, this is a party, Democrats, that you're shouted down if you don't conform. Do you think that's true?
Yeah, I do. More and more recently, I do believe that's true. And I think Nicki Minaj, put her finger on something real that Democrats should pay attention to, and that political tribalism is pushing people away and not bringing them into the tent. And that's exactly what we should not be doing. We need to have, and she talked about it throughout her conversation with Erica Kirk about ideological and opinion diversity and viewpoints. She didn't say she's a Republican now, but she also talked about her respect and admiration for the president, as you saw, and her advocacy and her, even though she may disagree with the Trump administration on other things, she is working with them on the situation in Nigeria. And that's admirable. We need to have less reflexively partisan points of view in the party as a whole. So I tend to agree with her.
Alex, when it comes to star power, Kamala Harris, the vice president last year, had about as much star power as you could get. That didn't get her over to the election. So does it really matter when stars endorse politicians?
I'm not sure star power is enough, but I think it's interesting that we talk about certain voting blocks that the Republicans really need to go after to expand their tent. One is black voters. That's one area that they need. Female voters, mothers, and Nicki Minaj speaks to all those blocks. I think the last point you all also mentioned was the First Amendment. She is an artist. She uses her voice to express her viewpoint, and the fact that Charlie Kirk was assassinated for doing the same, expressing his viewpoints too, could also be what drew her to that event.
Michael, Nicki Minaj called President Trump and Vice President Vance role models for young men. Young men swung towards the Republicans last year. Do you think that's sustainable? How do Democrats get it back?
I don't know if I would completely agree with her on that, and I don't know if that's necessarily something that Democrats would. I think they would take issue with a lot of that. But no, you're right. The Democratic Party has a lot to do in order to win back our coalition. We have to stop alienating certain members of society through DEI policies or through unfair hiring practices and things like that. That's the start. And we have to be more open and tolerant of other points of views within the party.
Michael LaRosa, Alex Swoyer, our panel. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.